I loves me some 1 degree of Chunky B.
Now, I just have to make a comment about Chunky B. Have you ever seen him looking so good?
The panel that includes actress Lady Kazan, comedian Chunky B, and Playboy TV host Julie Strain. Chunky?
What was the question?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, each and every week I'm sitting there like, oh gosh, you got to tune into this one. You got to tell your friends. Look me in the eye right now. We got something super special in the Garage of Love, 1 degree of Chunky B. Check this out. Before I tell you our guest, and you are going to tell your friends, how in the hell did 1 degree of Chunky B get such a monster of an awesome guy? But before we talk about him, across the table in the Garage of Love, the executive producer, he goes by the name of Gary Adler.
Wow, it's good to be back, boys. It's good to be back.
Have you, my man.
Look, I missed you guys. I missed my Venice Duck beer. Let's make a shout out for that right there.
Yep.
And remember, folks at home, hit the donate button. We could use the money. And also, if you're going to go on Amazon and order something, go through our website.
Why not? It's simple.
It's free, and we get a little percentage off the top. It doesn't come out of your pocket, and it helps out the show. So thank you very much, guys.
Okay. The man to my left, I don't know if it reads in the podcast if you are to my left or not, but he actually is the heart and soul, the heartbeat of this operation, the Wizard of the Knobs. Please give it up for Travis Spencer.
The Knobs.
Good to be here.
The
Thank
Knobs.
you, it's an honor. It's an honor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's where I need your undivided attention. We are maybe comic driven. We like to do the laugh. But we are not afraid to educate, stimulate, another
Postulate,
right. But check this out. We've got a civil rights lawyer. If you don't know, if you live in Los Angeles and you don't know who he is, why don't you go join your friends in Al Qaeda because you're an un-American. Please give it up for civil rights attorney Leo Terrell.
Oh my God!
Give it up for me.
That's awesome.
Glad to be here.
How did we get Leo Terrell?
How?
I know how we did it. And you know something? Check this out. I don't want to come at you with, like a blinding haymaker to the right and I come to the left. With everything that's going on in society today, with the Clippers debacle and the fight for civil rights, I'm coming at you with one serious question right off the bat. How's your golf game?
It's very good. I played with Gary the other day, and I was tuned in for my weekend game. I had one of my best scores at Westchester Golf Course. I was very happy.
Let me tell you something. This man speaks the truth. He's a good golfer for a lefty. I mean,
He's a lefty?
Yeah.
I'm a lefty out there.
I did not know that.
I'm very proud of that, though.
I gotta say, Chunk, I've never played with more sort of a humble guy. Very endearing, very comfortable to be around. And then when I look this fella up, okay.
Holy moly.
Right?
Listen, people don't understand. There's that television persona, but Gary, you have to attest to it. I was a very professional, very nice guy, very quiet, professional etiquette on the golf course.
I was. By the way, we were not. Any of those
they
things.
were not.
Right.
No.
But they provided great entertainment.
Now, did you play with a friend of ours that's actually been on this show, Stoney Westmoreland?
Yes, he is a great guy. Look, I played with Gary, Stoney, and another Gary.
Yeah.
It was a threesome. I made the fourth person, and it was a great time. They were all fun to play with.
Now, I don't know if you know one thing about Stoney Westmoreland. He's not the greatest accountant.
No?
I mean, I'm just saying, I when I saw a double bogey and he's like, ooh, punch it in, oh, just bogeyed that one.
Well, his golf math might be off a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, those are two different worlds. The golf course and being an accountant.
Yeah. All right.
Before we get
What do you
started, can we just get him to plug a couple things? Because Leo has his own stuff going on.
Oh, he's got a lot of it. Leo,
Yeah.
tell us how we can dial in.
Well, first of all, you can reach me on my website, clearthecourt.com.
Yep.
I do a lot of radio for KBC Radio 790 AM, and I also do a lot of television commentary for the local Fox 11. And, of course, when on the national level, my best friend Sean Hannity on Fox News Cable and a lot on MSNBC as well.
Okay, you say best friend.
Yes.
You guys are tight?
Sean Hannity, I can go over his house right now and have dinner. I
Come
can pick
on.
up the phone and call Sean. The TV persona, I hate him on TV.
Right.
But personally, he's a great guy. Very giving guy.
You know something? I wasn't predicting that.
No,
I wasn't.
me either.
I really thought that you guys were MFing each other as soon as the satellite goes off. You got, but it's not like that.
Let me ask you something.
Please.
Behind when the cameras aren't on, what are you and Mr. Hannity talking about?
Well, listen, while we're on the air, even when the cameras are off, like during the break, we don't say a word to each other. It's when the production is over, when the lights are off, we are very, very good friends. I mean, I look at him as a true friend, and he's a great guy with a big, generous heart.
Wow.
Yes,
Imagine
he
that.
Is, he is.
That just blew me away.
Yeah.
Something tells me the more I get to know you during this podcast, I think I'm going to be surprised more and more.
You're going to be one of my biggest campaigners because people will say, "Oh, he's that crazy guy on the TV."
Yeah.
And you're going to say, "No, he's not. He's a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy."
Here we go with the goosebumps. I
Yeah.
swear to God, when something clicks with me, I get goosebumps. And these guys will verify. Okay, Leo.
Yes.
Just let's go with some basics. Okay. You're from Southern California.
Born and raised in Los Angeles, California. Attended public schools. Went to UCLA for my law degree, but I was a school teacher prior to that. And I've been self-employed for the last 25 years as a lawyer.
Okay, let's go back to high school. And you're thinking, I want to be civil rights?
That's Gardena High School, is that right?
That's right, Gardena High School.
Look at the executive producer doing his homework.
He did a little homework there on me. Can't lie about it. Can't lie.
I got the Winksopedia.
I went to Harvard Westlake. out there with the rich guys. No.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah. Okay, so now you're growing up. You're academically probably savvy because you can't be a lawyer.
That's right. I was a good student. I was a very good student. I ran track. Wanted to be a great baseball player. Didn't have the skills, but I ran track. Had a good academic career.
Okay, so you're coming out of high school. I want to be a lawyer, or you?
Well, I was a rah-rah. I was president of high school. I knew I wanted to be a lawyer, but I was tired of school. I didn't want to go to college. I mean, I got my bachelor's degree. I took a couple years off to teach, and then I realized my true calling was being a lawyer. So I went back to law school.
What was hitting you at the time for the civil rights thing? Were you Martin Luther King?
I tell you right now, I think it was just a matter of I wanted to do something on a very major scale. I think I was growing up in the 60s and the 70s, and I realized there was a lot of change going on, and I felt I could make a big impact. And when I went to law school, after I graduated, I went to Arkansas and worked with a civil rights attorney. And he basically molded me in saying, hey, why don't you become a civil rights lawyer?
Civil rights, let's go right to the topic of racism. You were growing up in the 70s and 80s?
Yes.
Right? Good, better now or worse?
Much, much better now. But the problem is that racism, unfortunately, still exists. And so, it's been around before we were on this planet. It's going to be around after we leave this planet. It's just, unfortunately, a part of society.
Are you used to it, or does it still keep you up at night?
I'm used to it, but I'll sit here and tell you this, and something very personal. The most recent event involving Donald Sterling, the racial comments that he made. I did a show the day after it occurred, and I cried. I
Really?
cried because it was so hurtful. Those statements were so hurtful. Normally, I'm pretty strong, but on that situation, it was very, very emotional. I was crying, and then it led me to go and do a one-man protest on Sunday, all by myself at the Staples Center, protesting those comments.
Now, you had a poster board.
Yes.
And they...
Hey, great research here. I had a poster board. You're right. I had a poster board.
It said, "Will lawyer for food." I'm pretty sure that's what it said.
I can do that. You know what? I can do that. It didn't say that, but that's a great idea.
Right. Okay. So you're protesting, and what's the cause? Not to go to a Clipper game? To go?
It said Magic's a hero and Sterling's a racist, and I was encouraging people not to attend Clipper games. And believe it or not, at that point, I wanted the Clippers to lose because I was so upset. Yeah. But then yet I was so elated with the NBA commissioner coming out with this very strong reaction to Sterling's comments. And I was very proud, very proud.
Now, I was talking, I don't mean to cut you off,
No,
but I was
you go right
talking
ahead.
to, now, do you know Ephraim Salam?
I know the name.
He's from the NBA.
NAACP.
NFL.
No, he's from the NBA.
NFL Network. Ephraim Salam. It's an NFL guy. He's an NFL guy. Right?
Is he wait a second, hold on. I was with him the other day on Jim Rome. I was
Okay.
working on
Okay.
for Showtime.
Okay.
And I was got briefly a chance to talk to him. Now, what he wanted to do, if we're going to dive into the Don Sterling thing, is everybody okay with that? Are we missing anything?
Yeah, I want to talk about the Anderson Cooper interview as well.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
And we here in the Garage of Love, we hop around. There's no structure.
No problem. No problem.
So,
I love no structure.
okay.
I love it.
So he was saying that he really wanted, instead of the Clippers taking their warm-up jerseys inside out and all that stuff, he wanted the game not to be played.
Well, I got news for you. The game was going to be canceled. The players were going to walk off the court. However, they were so moved by Silver's statement to give Sterling a lifetime ban, they decided not to. They were going to boycott. If that's the elephant in the room.
Right.
And the players will still boycott if Sterling remains as a
Owner.
There's no question about it.
All right. If we're going to dissect that, are you okay with Sterling's wife still having half of it?
Let me think about that. No. No. And the NBA is not happy with that. They came out a couple of days ago and said, look, when we terminate the ownership, we terminate all the ownership, the entire organization, whoever owned that company at the time, everyone's out. So no, it has to be a clean break for the players and for really the country, I think.
Did you hear that lame ass excuse that the wife tried to say? Well, if it was the reverse, did you catch that on?
Yeah, but see, legally, people don't understand. They talk about it's the First Amendment right of privacy. This is a private club. Just think you had a McDonald's franchise, and you got certain rules. You sign papers, and they can take the franchise away from Sterling. All they have to do is follow the procedures in their bylaws. It's not like the government. It's a private club.
Gary and I were talking before you got here. What's your take on just the phone conversation? Is that is it okay that busted out like that? Is that?
Well, I think the question is, it busted out. Is it okay that the ramifications from a private phone conversation?
Yeah.
And I say, as it relates to the NBA considering the information, yes. People think about, it's a private phone call. It should never be taped. Have you noticed so far, Sterling has not filed charges against her for the taping. And so that's very, very significant. She claims that he gave her permission not only to tape that particular conversation, but others. So there's a lot going on that we don't know at this point. So
okay. What is he saying, Sterling, about Magic? He's saying multiple things about Magic, but Magic told him to chill for a week and a half, and he's thinking Magic wants to buy the franchise?
Well, you know what? Magic gave an interview today.
I just heard it.
I just saw the whole interview,
really?
and he set the record straight. Sterling reached out to him, according to Magic, and asked Magic to appear on the Barbara Walters show, basically for cover. Magic said, no, talk to your lawyer, get some good advice. And so the way it went down was Sterling reached out to Magic, and then Magic, on the advice of attorneys, said, hey, you shouldn't talk to him.
But what also Magic said was, if I wanted to steal a franchise out from somebody, it would be the Lakers.
Yes, it would be the Lakers. Yes, right.
Yeah, let me ask you a question.
Please.
After hearing all of this, the ramblings of this man, Donald Sterling, and I used to live in one of his buildings, does it feel like just sort of the ramblings of an old man who's just a fucking idiot?
Is it dementia? Is dementia?
No, it's not
kicking in?
dementia.
No.
I think it's what Gary just said. It's an old man who has all the money in the world and got basically smitten by a beautiful young woman, 50 years his junior. And I saw a little bit of the interview, the other part of the interview, he was crying because he thought this woman was in love with him. Yeah. And so it's just that he got taken from an emotional standpoint.
Yeah.
From that standpoint, I agree. This is just an old man with a lot of money and just wanted to feel like a kid again. And that young girl represented, his youth.
Do you think in his head he feels like a racist?
No. You know what? It's one of those classic situations of people not knowing their own conduct.
Yeah.
I think his honest belief is he's not a racist. He might be in denial, but he honestly believes what he's doing is perfectly okay. I mean, you know what? I hate to feel sorry for him, but today I felt a little sorry for him because of the fact that his age, he's basically bored and he's lonely.
He won't be around in 10 years.
No, he won't be around in 10 years, but boy, he's had some experiences with young girls. This is not his first one. He had a mistress a couple of years ago. So this has been something that's been part of his norm.
Right, but what a pounding! Just when he's riding that fucking horse into the sunset. He's got 10, maybe with good doctors, another 13 years. He's got a babe that's sitting next to him. He's got a wife that's
the
like
Clippers. They're doing well finally.
Doing well.
And he bought that for like a cocktail party.
Yeah,
he was like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna buy a team and let's all hang out and have beverages."
He could make a lot of money writing a book called "How to Ruin a Brand in 15 Minutes."
With one phone call.
One phone call. But you know what? His wife really, in my opinion, may have started this because she filed a lawsuit and served the mistress at the game. And you know what? The mistress wanted to protect her interest.
That was a revenge.
That was a revenge play, in
Oh,
my opinion.
yeah. She had, something. Old lady Sterling had no idea what she just let's let this cat out of the cage.
Oh, man.
Hey, I want to ask you guys, do you think she had a romantic, you think V, the mistress, had a romantic relationship? She says no. What do you mean?
Was she cheating?
No, was she?
No, the mistress with Don.
Did she have a relationship?
It was
with
an absolute professional relationship.
no.
Translation. Yes.
I think maybe she gave him a whole bunch of hope.
And head.
I agree with Gary. Hope and some head. Oh, I agree. There's no question about
Speaking
that.
of head, try some Venice Duck beer.
Nice segue.
Thank you.
Don't try to get out of it. Don't try. Unbelievable. Now, have you had the honor to meet Magic at all?
Oh yeah, I know Magic very well, and I'm biased. I love Magic Johnson. I love this guy. And the attack that Sterling made on Magic yesterday backfired. It boomeranged. And it just basically cemented the NBA's decision to get rid of him. Adam Silver sent out an apology to Magic yesterday after the Sterling interview.
On behalf of the NBA?
Yes, again, because Sterling just basically blew himself up.
Again.
Again. So this goes back to your point. An old guy who really doesn't know what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's just sad.
It's incredible. Let me ask you something on the order of knowing people. Who's the most famous person you ever played golf with?
Well, I'm a sports nut. Now, I would say the most famous would be Jim Brown. I play golf with Jim Brown.
Imagine that.
All the time. And let me tell you right now, this guy almost 78 years old, and he'll shoot in the 70s all the time on a regulation course. And, when you're playing with Jim Brown, you're playing with – that guy is a athlete from head to toe with the focus. And in golf –
he wants to beat you.
He wants to beat you, and he will destroy you.
Right.
He will destroy you. I mean, it's an honor to play against him, and he's a winner. He's a winner on the golf course.
How much fun would that be?
Oh, man.
Did he ever give you a stiff arm on your backswing?
Never.
A lot of people don't realize this, but he did change the game of lacrosse.
Yes.
Out of
Yes.
Is that
they
true?
changed the rules because of him.
He was an outstanding lacrosse player at Syracuse. Wow. Outstanding. You're absolutely right. Good research.
Yeah.
Very good research,
man.
Yeah. So, all right. So you got the golf course. Your life's pretty good. You seem like as soon as you walked into my home in the Garage Club, you seem very happy.
Who do you think I am? You think that madman on TV?
But you know something? I thought possibly it could be that mad African American.
He called me this afternoon. He's like,
"We're in trouble.
What are we gonna do with this guy?" I said, "I hope he yells at you, Chunky."
I'm not that guy.
And Wizard, it's a true story. I'm like, dude, the more this guy comes in layers, man. He puts an onion to shame.
Please disregard what you see on TV. This is me. Gary met the real Leo Terrell.
That's
on the golf course.
why he wanted you on this show so bad.
But you know what? Gary is smart about that. He waited 12 on the 12th hole, maybe to the 14 holes.
Yeah.
He wanted to see if I was going to blow up and get angry and yell. So he waited.
Breaking the clock.
He was very slick about it. And he came up to me quietly and said, "Hey, maybe you might want to do this."
Let me throw this at you.
Please.
What makes you mad? Off the course.
Nothing. I don't have any lawyer friends. I have two great dogs. They're my best friends, and I really try to stay away from anger or confrontation. When my job is over, I just want to relax, keeps the stress level down. That's why I'm happy. I'm happy to be here.
What about stupidity? What about, it doesn't matter, African-American, white people, just flat out stupidity. It still doesn't get under your skin because you're that professional?
I think in the work arena, it does. But I'm telling you, I almost live a sheltered, private life where I control all the elements. Right. I mean, if Gary and Stoney and the other Gary were difficult, I would have left. But they were a pleasure to play with.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to keep my stress level down because that job is so stressful. And, that's why I'm here today.
What about in your car? You ever get pissed off?
Do you have road rage?
Yes, I do. I have to demonstrate. Yes, there it is. Yes, I use my horn more than any person in America.
Like a New York taxi cab
I am
driver.
honking all the time. Yes.
I heard a comedian once say, there's one thing I can tell you about Los Angeles, that 20 minutes after I get in my car, I'm going to be really pissed off.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. That is true. Now, that's the one place where I cannot avoid the anger.
All right, I want to talk to you about the NAACP. I want to talk to you about even like Rodney King.
Yes.
There's a bunch of stuff, but what I want to do is just take a quick pause, a pause for the. You remember the old DJs used to here's a pause for the cause?
Yeah.
I know. I feel like I'm Wolfman Jack or something.
I like Wolfman.
Yeah, I know.
Wolfman. Give me a howl.
Yeah. And all the kids watching this podcast are like, what the fuck are they talking about?
First of all, no kids watch this podcast.
All right, we are with Leo Terrell, and he's an amazing individual, and we're going to chat with him right after this. You guys are awesome. Woo! All right. You guys have got to check out our brand new sponsor, Venice Duck Brewery. You want to get your quack on? Taste some of this.
Hi, Winston Giles here in Los Angeles, California from 1 Degree of Chunky B, and our artist of the week this week is Fascinator. Australian Johnny, now out of New York, and the song's called Mr. Caterpillar.
I'm Leo Terrell, fair-minded civil rights attorney, and you're watching 1 Degree of Chunky B.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back, and you are tuning into 1 Degree of Chunky B in the Garage of Love, chunkyb.tv. And I say thank you to everyone that's dialing in. We got some traction. We've got some people around the world tuning in, and you guys, I love your comments. And don't be afraid if you can do some shopping, go through chunkyb.tv, go to Amazon, and flat out saying if you want to throw $5 our way to so we can feed
Travis.
feed Travis.
Hungry.
You guys cannot sincere thank yous for tuning into 1 Degree of Chunky B.
Chunk, you got some shout outs in New Orleans, right?
Can't believe it. Cannot believe it. Real quick, I got to tell you this quick story. I'm walking around Jazz Fest at the end of April, beginning of May, and people are like, 1 degree, 1 degree,
Nice.
1 degree.
Nice.
And it doesn't happen very often. So I ran over like, how do you know? He's like, man, I recognize you from your Chunky B from the podcast. I'm like,
great.
yeah. So I can't thank you enough. And speaking of thank you, Leo Terrell, for being here, man.
I am having a great time. I'm enjoying it. Great chemistry throughout the program.
Yeah. So what do you want to jump off?
I wanted. We were just talking at the break about the Trayvon Martin case.
Yes.
Okay. I think we should go through that again.
Because it's not what people think, especially with his opinion.
Yeah, because if you look up Leo Terrell on YouTube, you'll see a bunch of crazy videos.
Yeah.
And one of them is him yelling at Juan Williams on the Hannity show. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I was brought on the Sean Hannity show on Fox News Channel to discuss the verdict of the Trayvon Martin case, where the jury found George Zimmerman not guilty, acquitted him of all the charges. Right. And so they pitted me up against Juan Williams. And Juan Williams, who works for Fox, felt that he was guilty and that he should have been found guilty. And I was very upset, irate, because Juan Williams is not a lawyer. And from the evidence that I saw, and based on my 25 years as a lawyer, the jury was absolutely correct. George Zimmerman, based on the evidence inside that courtroom, right, the jury was correct in acquitting George Zimmerman.
Now, that may be factual, and that is your opinion, but now that you saw what kind of person he is, I know that's not supposed to reflect the jury or the outcome of the case, but isn't he a little bit of a douchebag?
Oh yeah, he's a douchebag. but see, my job as a lawyer is to, the legal system is what separates us from other societies. We have a value system where we respect the rule of law, and the rule of law said that he was innocent of those charges, and whether or not he's a douchebag and all those other things, that may be true.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter in that courtroom.
And I want to put him on the spot because I told him I was gonna. Okay.
Oh, well,
Having said that,
yes.
O.J. Simpson.
Oh wow.
Hello.
Was that a correct verdict?
Let me sit here and say this. I gotta pause here. The jury spoke. In that criminal case, if we respect the rule of law and we respect the power of the jury spoke. Now, I could tell you that the prosecution put on maybe a poor case, and the defense, led by Johnny Cochran, put on a great case.
Did you know him?
Oh, I the whole team. I knew the whole team.
Oh, really?
Cochran, Shapiro, Sheck, F. Lee Bailey,
right?
All of those guys.
What about the other team?
Marsha Clark, Chris Darden. I knew the whole staff. I knew everybody on both sides.
So you were like emotionally invested.
You know what? It's funny. I was reporting that case for Fox News. I did not know O.J. Simpson before that case started. Now, let me tell you the true story about this. I went in there to report for Fox News. O.J. Simpson, when he was incarcerated, and he told me to come over to him. He was, inside the courtroom. He said, "Look, I've seen your videos. I've seen you report. You're fair. Can you meet my family?" And so I met the family, and the next moment, the Fox camera said, "Leo Terrell, O.J. Simpson's friend." And
that's how it fast forwarded.
And that's how it started. But it gave me tremendous access, and I was able to go over to the family's house, talk to them, and I'll be honest with you. I'm going to tell you something really, very, very true about that case. I didn't know you were going to catch me with this story, but there's things that I know about that case that no one knows. And I can't disclose those things for several reasons. But when you're involved in a case like that, when you're in the middle and you're watching what's being reported, you say that's not true because you know.
Okay, Leo, let me ask you
Please.
this: are you happy you know those facts that no one else knows? Are you comfortable knowing that?
You know what? As a lawyer, I know a lot of things that I'm not allowed to talk about because I'm under a court order and based on the attorney-client relationship. It's something that I know. I'm happy that I know these things. Yeah. I'm never going to reveal them.
Sure.
The Simpson case, a lot of things I know I can't reveal. But yeah, it's sometimes it's very disappointing how certain things worked out. But it's also I'm privileged to be in that situation.
Here's one thing I'm going to ask you to reveal.
Please.
What is your honest to goodness opinion and thoughts about the way he reacted in Vegas, trying to get his stuff back? He's got
he's got some douchebag in him too.
Yeah, or he hangs out with douchebags.
As far as OJ,
yeah.
Let me tell you right now, Nevada, in my opinion, he's incarcerated. Nevada basically is keeping him incarcerated as a result of that civil case, the criminal case.
The criminal case.
The criminal case in LA.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
He made a major mistake in going after his little property in Nevada. That was a serious mistake on his part, poor judgment, hanging around with some shady characters,
Sure.
and the Nevada court system nailed him.
Yeah. After he won that, and do you think he, in the back of his mind, he was above the law and could get away with something like, let me get my shit back?
You know what? If he he got some bad legal advice as well. And I was not representing him. Very bad legal advice.
I heard somebody say, first of all, just sign some more shit.
Right.
Yeah.
But he was at a wedding. There was some drinking going on, and he was surrounded by a lot of yes people, and they just gave him some bad legal advice, and he's paying the price for it. Now, I stay in contact with him. I speak to him.
You do?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have a lot of secrets. You want to know some?
Yes, of course.
No. Okay, pay me for those secrets.
All right.
We can tie Leo with one of our other guests, Mr. Dave Banks.
Okay,
I don't know if you know.
Stretch.
Yeah, I don't know if you know Mr. Dave Banks.
No.
He's a cameraman.
Okay.
And in April 1992, he went out and shot the LA riots.
Wow.
And got shot at and a bunch of. He was a great guest.
He shot.
Yeah,
that's
with the
TV
camera.
talk.
With the
that's
camera.
TV talk.
Okay.
What is your experience with that whole situation? Did you know Rodney King? Did you get to talk to Rodney King? Is LA better off today than it was back then? Good question.
Well, I'll answer the last question first. Is LA better off? Yes. But you see that Rodney King case and the effect of that case, which led to a riot, shows you or tells me that it can happen anytime. I mean, we're better off. But you can put those same facts together in a similar case, and you will have that same type of explosion, which means we're always one bad case away
from this happening.
We're better off, but it can happen again.
So
There's
you
no doubt
think
about
we're going
it.
to see something that big in our lifetime?
It didn't happen with Trayvon Martin, though.
It didn't happen with Trayvon Martin for two reasons. Well, it didn't happen to Trayvon Martin for a couple of reasons. One, when you saw the evidence in that case, in the Trayvon Martin case, the evidence was not as strong as 8 officers beating a man down to the ground,
True.
shooting him with tasers. That is a different situation. I'm not downplaying the death of Trayvon Martin, but that visual of the beating and the guy's not resisting, and that was just some street justice, really resonated with a lot of Angelenos and people across the country.
Right. But I think what really, we talked about this earlier, what really messed it up is his actions after. King was just doing stupid
It's again the
things.
same situation.
Right.
Situation.
Yeah.
Usually you have these individuals who are so-called victims. They're not really great characters. Rodney King was not a great character before it happened,
begin with,
and he wasn't a great character after it happened.
Right.
And so they're not the type of role models that you really sit there and say, Rodney King's a Rosa Parks. Hell no. Rodney King is a person who happened to be in a situation in which the officers took advantage of him, but he did not set a good example after the situation occurred.
No, I know we're talking about such a monumental history-making, history-changing event, but let's go to something was a lot smaller. And excuse me for my vagueness, but there was a football player that punched a referee that said he said a slur.
You guys have done your homework. My gosh. Hey, how much research? This is a well-researched show.
We're just scratching the surface.
Hey, Travis, why didn't you give me a little heads up on this, man? Yes.
Wait till we get to Travis's question.
Hold on to your hat. You're in on this, too. You're talking about a situation where a football player named Kamasi Simmons from a school in Compton, high school in Compton, who accused a referee of using the N-word in describing him on the football field. I represented Kamasi Simmons in that case, and let me tell you right now, he stuck to his guns as it relates to whether or not the referee called him that. And I asked him, did he call him? He said yes. And so when you're representing someone, you have to believe what they're saying to vigorously represent them, and that's what we did.
Now, the N-word it almost feels as if you've got to be part of the club, okay? You've got the privilege of using that word. I'll look you square in the eye. It's not in my vocabulary. Growing up as a kid, even when I was in Queens, New York.
Can I give you a polygraph test for that?
I'll do it.
It was in mine.
Was it really?
Growing up in Miami, Florida, you're damn right it was.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, I was raised by a hardcore FBI agent. And I want to let you know, the N-word was never brought up as a kid.
Right.
Even in high school, I was in Cincinnati, Ohio. We had like maybe one African American. He was my buddy. I never was exposed to racism.
But Jews, that's a whole nother
We didn't
story.
even have those guys. I mean, your guys. Those guys. And I don't want to make a joke of it, but one of my first jokes as a comedian was a racist. I thought it was the fastest guy on the track team.
That's a terrible joke.
It is a terrible joke.
Which is why we're here today in the Garage of Love.
But the power of that word. Now, I work with a gal that you know, Joan Rivers. Okay, and she walks out on stage going, mix, bix, bic, N-word, N-word, N-word. And she's like, can we just all let it go? Is that possible?
No. No. In the world of comedy, yes, she can get away with it. But in the world, in our everyday life, no. That word, and it's been elevated to such an offensive word. And then on the other hand, it's a double standard. It could be used in music. It could be used among blacks. If a white individual states it or uses the word, then it gets a different reaction. It's just been elevated to such a level where you don't even know when to say it, how to say it, and where to say it. But unfortunately, that's where we are right now in this society. We are race conscious, and we're also word conscious when it comes to that word.
When you're playing golf and you're with your friends and it's African American, you guys have that privilege to use it. But once it goes outside that circle and it's fucked, excuse my language, it's fucked up when there's a white guy in that circle that hears it, it just kind of makes it.
I mean, and you know what? And I don't use the word. I'm going to tell you right now, but you just gave a perfect example. In the golf game, I have played with other African Americans, and they use that word back and forth. I'm saying, why? Right. Set a standard. Use a standard, because you're going to be upset if someone else of a non-African American descent uses that word. Right. So I don't use it, but yeah, it's a double standard. That's why it's so confusing.
Conversely, have you ever jumped into a group of white golfers and heard some stuff you didn't like to hear?
You know what? Not about blacks, but about other groups. It's funny, you know, they're conscious of my blackness, and so there's not going to be any black comments, but there'll be comments about other groups. Right. And it's funny how people, when they're among around their own, they are more comfortable using these words,
right?
And they assume that everyone's comfortable with it. I'm not comfortable with the N word being used around by African Americans, but it happens.
But you know something, you got to use it correctly. Like I had the opportunity to meet. What's today? Tuesday. What am I talking about? Yesterday, D.L. Hughley.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you know
he
that
plays golf too.
Does he play golf?
Yes.
Okay. Now this man, he came from the inner city, and he fought, kicked, and scratched, and now he's all pissed off because Justin Bieber's messing up his neighborhood. The guy lives in Justin Bieber's neighborhood, and he uses that N-word, but when he uses it, it's got flowetry.
It's nerd. You know? You're talking about nerd, right?
Nerd?
Yeah, the N-word.
Nerd. Nerd, don't use that in front of me, man. Hey. We got one right here.
I'm right here, guys. Jesus. Yeah, sorry, Travis. I didn't mean to offend.
Terrible.
But you know what? I got to say something. It's so weird, racism, okay, the whole thing, because after this Donald Sterling thing, and I work in a very corporate office, I got in the elevator with a lovely African-American woman, and I said, would you mind hitting the number 3 for me? And in my head, I'm like, oh shit, I wonder if she thinks I'm like making her do something for me.
Oh,
something.
no, did she like, oh no, you didn't?
Yeah.
Do you have a finger?
Yeah, like, and then I looked over and I had a bank on my side too, and I was like, oh no.
Right on.
Did she hit the number? Did she hit number 3?
She hit it.
Okay, great.
Right on. Okay, you know something? We did talk about Sterling, but let me ask you something. And what's your opinion on the NAACP gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award and was getting ready to give him another one? Who wins 2 in one life?
No one. And let me tell you right now, I was at the press conference. I was the one who asked the NAACP president, how much money did Donald Sterling give you? And he said, I'm not going to tell you. It's an insignificant amount. And I'm telling you right now, that was nothing more than blood money to cover Donald Sterling's conduct. The NAACP has lost all credibility. I quit the NAACP because of nonsense like this. They would sell out, take money from people who discriminate, corporations who discriminate, and they give them Lifetime Achievement Awards. And the NAACP, in my opinion, I'll be very critical of them. Really, you think of the NAACP 50 years ago when they went to the court cases, to eliminate segregation. But the last 20 years, the NAACP has not really done too much.
Now, are they going to get mad at you? Did they know your opinion on this?
Oh yeah. I look. I call myself the fair-minded civil rights attorney. I can sleep at night. Right. I will not sell out. Right on. And I will not sell out to the NAACP and give them cover. When they're wrong, they're wrong. And so I just judge issues by issues without taking any particular side and look at the facts. That's why the Trayvon Martin case was one position, the NAACP is another.
Well, let me ask you this. If not the NAACP, is there another organization that you support?
You know what? I am the Lone Ranger. That's a good question. Nice. People ask me, what group do you belong to? I say, I don't belong to any organization. I've been a solo practitioner as a lawyer. That gives me a lot of freedom. I don't have to worry about my employer firing me. I don't belong to organizations. I look at particular issues and join. If I was a member of the NAACP, but I quit for 10 years ago, I'm a free agent.
Well, if you're the Lone Ranger, you want to be your Tonto.
Yeah. Okay. If you need someone to do your billboards when you protest outside of Staples.
Yeah. And by the way, there was a really bad poster.
Hey. I walked there for 5 hours with bad knees. Those are my golf knees. 5 hours out there. Wow. And you know what's one last story about that? The Staples security guards tried to remove me from that location. And I want to give a shout out to the LAPD because I said, let me call the LAPD. Right. I have a right to be here. LAPD came out and told Staples, hey, he could be here. LAPD did a great job.
There's a guy right there with John 13 or John 16 years old. What's the difference?
Well, the advantage is being a lawyer, and I knew what my rights were.
Sure.
And
you knew where to stand.
I knew exactly where to stand.
Well, on that note, you've had a bit of a history with the LAPD.
Yes.
What's your relationship with them now?
It's good. I mean, I have sued the LAPD maybe 100 times.
Wow.
But on the other hand, I have a lot of friends who are members of the LAPD. On that Staples Center situation, the officers and I, we went over and had coffee. I don't have a attitude of I hate the LAPD, they're completely wrong. It's always case by case. And so I describe my relationship with LAPD very, very good. But yes, I will sue them, and I have.
And Travis, how many times have you sued the LAPD?
17. Going on 18 real fast.
Yeah, right. I know this may be out of the box of what we're talking, but I don't know if you follow the NFL and you know the gay African American that got drafted. It's Sam's to the Rams.
Right. Michael.
And what was your reaction?
I'm glad you asked that question. I was happy that they kissed. You know why?
Okay.
Because there are people in America who don't believe that gay people they've never seen a gay man kiss.
Right.
And it got a lot of negative reaction. Look, I am a civil rights attorney, so I believe in gay rights. I believe in rights. Everybody, what a gay couple do in their home does not affect me. But the kiss was more important than him being selected because there are so many people who are in denial. And I want to go one step further. African Americans are embarrassed to have gay people in the community. They're in denial. And that's a sad commentary. But whenever I do my radio show and I talk about my position on gay rights, I support gay rights, my mother would call the show and say, Leo, please don't say that because people will think you're gay. And so the black community needs to wake up. There are gay people in the community and that's
even football players.
Yes.
Right.
Even football players.
But when I first saw that, I was thinking, how long is it going to take for society to think that's not that big of a deal? Because here's what I compared it to. When I see a black dude and a white chick together, it doesn't faze me.
Oh, you gotta be kidding! Look, it's called a double look. If you see a black man and a white woman or
I swear to God,
you don't do a double look.
No, I think like wow, I see it so often. But back
all right, hang on.
If
she's smoking hot, I do the double.
That's what I'm saying. It depends on her.
And if he's a douchebag looking guy, I know he's got a lot of money.
Those are exceptions. Those are exceptions.
No, I'm kidding. I kid you not. I really think, okay, boom, that's not that big of a deal.
I'm glad you feel that way.
But now you get the black dude with the white dude, and they're shoving cake in their face.
Well, I thought that was beautiful.
So do I. So did I.
Beautiful.
But I'm thinking, how long was when we saw that, we were working on Jim Rome for Showtime yesterday, there was a couple brothers and sisters in the audience like,
yeah.
They reacted.
I'm not surprised.
But is it another 20 years from now
No,
that we're going to be like...
No, just like I told you about racism, it will be here after we leave this earth. It's part of life. It's just,
but
look,
you have to look at our kids, because they're, each generation grows up where it's less. Our kids have a black president.
Right.
Oh, true.
We never thought in our lifetime that would happen,
That's a good
Chunky.
point.
And
Right.
and now it's the norm.
That's a very good point. So it's what's taught in the household, and that's why I'm going to live in your house for the next 24 days.
Man, you are more than welcome. There's a guest room, and I guess there's some fresh sheets.
You know what? I heard a quote from Mark Twain today. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Wow,
Okay?
look at you, acting like a reader.
It says. I
I
said I heard it.
Oh, you heard it. Books on tape.
It says, "Don't argue with fools. They will drag you down to their level and beat you with experience."
Good point.
But you seem to make a living off of this. Can you talk about that? Let me ask you this. Will you go on any show that calls you?
No.
Have you turned some people down?
Oh my gosh. I'll tell you right now, honestly and truly, for every show that I've been on, I may have turned down 5 or 6 times.
Really?
And I don't go on the show if it's just for me to be on one side versus the other. I have to believe in what I'm saying. Yeah. And I will do my homework on researching it and making sure that I'm prepared. Because you know what? When I go on that TV show or whatever program, I represent myself. I represent myself as a lawyer, as an individual. I want to know what I'm talking about.
All right, listen to me.
Yes.
I do say this with frequency, but I'm saying this with clarity, integrity, character, values, friendship, and loyalty. I want you back. I want you back in this garage. Because I can talk to you. Probably, we got another freaking 8 hours we can be rapping with, all right?
Right.
But will you promise to come back?
I promise to come back. I want to say this. This is really, it was a great show. The research was fantastic. And the only other condition is, I like to have you guys, whenever I do my radio program, you guys come on.
Oh my God, it'd be great.
Yes.
Not Travis though.
Travis, you're not back.
Travis is
I can't make it.
What about a golf invitation?
Oh, hey.
No, I want to go on the radio show. You guys, dude, check this out, Leo. I'll be your caddy. All right? I'll drive your cart. All right.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Check this out. We always end 1 degree of Chunky B with the wisdom of the wizard. And
yes.
So we end with a question, and right off the bat, don't throw your headset down and walk out. We have no idea what's coming up.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
Okay, here we go.
Can I get your take on the National Defense Authorization Act that Obama signed? Do you know what I'm talking about? So now he can detain. Now our government can detain any citizen in the U.S. like a terrorist. And before he signed this, it was just
foreign
based. Yeah, absolutely. Can I get you take it?
I'll tell you right now. Just my first impression that I'm totally against that. You know what? You could justify. You can't really justify anyone being held unless they're prisoners of war as far as foreigners. But Americans being detained, there's something called the Constitution. And it sounds like such a law would affect individual rights to counsel, right to be aware of the charges that they're facing within a certain time period. So my reaction to that is no, I'm totally opposed to that. And I'm disappointed in a president who talks about expanding liberties and civil rights. That's absolutely a bad idea.
I'll tell you what I'm shocked about. That was an awesome question.
Yeah, very powerful question.
We're going to be on the radio show, guys.
Normally,
very powerful question.
Hey, Leo, normally he asks, do you believe in UFOs?
It starts there, though.
It starts there. Yeah.
Hey, man, this has been a fantastic show, Chunky.
I think so. It's way better, man. I tell you what, you were so less intimidating in person.
Oh, my God.
Man, you know something?
Wait till you play golf with him, dude. It's not good.
I need you guys to tell the world I'm a good guy.
We are now walking the walk and talking the talk.
Yeah, looking at the camera. Tell everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's got a bark, but doesn't bite, and the dude's a lefty and he plays golf. The world is okay, people. You're watching 1 Degree of Chunky B on chunkybee.com in the Garage of Love. Leo Terrell, thank you for your awesomeness.
My pleasure.
Leo, thank you.
We are DONE. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Wizard.